Breaking news here on CBS Sports HQ, that is. Klay Thompson's on the move. We just don't know where. The Athletic is reporting that the Warriors are working on a sign-and-trade possibility for the four-time NBA champion. That tracks with earlier reports that Golden State would be moving on from the sharpshooter after 13 seasons. ESPN reporting that Thompson is having discussions with the Clippers, Lakers, Mavs, and the Sixers. All right, back here in studio with Chris Walker, and let's welcome in Bill Reiter. Bill, Klay Thompson looks like his career is over in Golden State. You heard the teams, and you know about the teams, Clippers, Lakers, Mavs, and Sixers. What makes sense here for Klay Thompson?
Yeah, and let me also say, this is how you negotiate with some class and you work in everybody's best interest when you've had an ugly divorce. This is a divorce that's fairly friendly. The fact that they're going to work on a sign and trade and try to make it work for everybody. Look, I think it's the Mavs for me. It really depends on the numbers and what Klay Thompson wants. But if you can get him the mid-level exception at the non-taxpayer level, that's around $13 million. If Klay's willing to take that, I think he with the Mavs is a really good fit. And I think the Sixers are really interesting. It depends, again, how much he's willing to reduce what he would take. I was told yesterday that he was frustrated enough with that Golden State organization for not paying him what he thinks he's earned over the time that he spent there winning multiple championships, that he might do what a source called a spike deal, just take less money at a contender than he could on the open market just to sort of show the Golden State Warriors. So if he's willing to do that and the Sixers land PG, that's an interesting fit. But I think the Mavs are a team to keep an eye on. And obviously, Klay Thompson's father has a relationship with the Lakers through broadcasting. And again, if LeBron James is willing to take a fairly substantial pay cut, they could fit Klay into that mid-level exception as well. Again, just under $13 million. So I think the Mavs are the number one choice for me, but the Sixers make sense. The Lakers make sense. All the teams that he's talking to me, make sense.
Yeah, I'm going to say, and I can't believe Bill would say my Lakers number 3. Bill, you got to be kidding me. The Lakers 3, Dad played there, works in broadcasting. Klay is a historian. He knows things. You're talking about some get back. Get back will be playing with the Lakers. You know, staying on the West Coast. I don't know about those taxes when you got your salary reduced the way it's going to be reduced. But I think he with Dalton Connect will be great for LeBron and AD. Now, again, going to play, as Bill said, in Philadelphia with Paul George, because they're going to need a whole cast of characters, and Klay would fit nicely there. But at the end of the day, for me, again, and the Mavs will be great with Luka. They're losing Tim Hardaway Jr., and they got Derrick Jones. They're going to sign with some of the money they're going to get back from his deal, but they don't have that other shooter there. You know, Washington's not a guy. P.J. Washington, he made some shots. Klay Thompson would be a good fit there, but I'm going Lakers, right? I'm a Laker fan. I'm going Lakers. I think it would be a great fit. His dad was there, his history.
Yep.
Again, Lakers last year, 2 years ago, Western Conference Finals. They did win the play-in. They have won a championship with LeBron and AD. I think Klay would fit nicely there. Bill, I'm sorry, but you're my guy. But listen, put that out there, because they're listening to you, Bill.
No.
Every time you say something, they go for it.
I'm in, and I'll add that there's a great big ocean right here in Los Angeles, and Klay is literally a boating enthusiast, and I'm not a geography expert, but I'm pretty sure Philly's not on the water. So, you know what? And I know that Dallas isn't. So that is a check mark in your direction as well, if you're rooting for LA.
They do have pools, though, in Philadelphia. Dallas.
Yeah,
you can get a pool in your backyard if you're making that kind of money.
It's hot in Dallas.
When you think about the chemistry, right, Bill? Because just as much as it has to work financially, you have to think about the personalities that would play together. Would that work with LeBron and AD in L.A. for Klay Thompson?
That's such a great question. Yeah, so this, I think, look, Klay Thompson, this is why if I'm any of these teams, I am coveting Klay Thompson. I'm trying to convince him, because I think it's a great point, Akeem, and I think Klay Thompson's a unique personality. Guys that have played with him will tell you. He's just a really chill, easygoing guy. He's a competitor. He wants to win, but he fits in a locker room. He is not your traditional alpha, if he's an alpha at all. He is just very easy to get along with. And so I don't think chemistry would be an issue for him off the court with any of these guys. And LeBron James is going to have the ball in his hands. AD's going to have the ball in his hands. The thing about Klay is, and not at the level that he could several years ago before that injury, that double injury, but Klay's a guy who, if he doesn't get the rock, he doesn't get upset. He'll play off the ball. He doesn't need, obviously, the ball in his hands. He's an outstanding shooter. He has a history of being, I think, one of the best two-way players in the game. He's not anymore, but it just shows a willingness to do what you need to do for the team. So I don't think chemistry is going to be an issue, Akeem, wherever he goes. He's that kind of a player. He's a great locker room guy, which is why if you're any of these teams, on top of what he does on the floor, I think he fits with these players in these locker rooms that we've all discussed. It's part of the appeal of Klay Thompson.
Well, if he wants to take a spite deal like you reported, it would be to go to the Lakers. I mean, it's Warriors, Lakers. Whose state does it belong to? And no disrespect to the Clippers or the Sacramento Kings, but when you talk about trying to get back at your former employer, and if they're doing the sign and trade, I get it, it's going to be classy, but when you look at going to Lakers, that would be like, hey, I'm going to try to win one with LeBron, a guy he bristled with before. You remember that.
Always
Golden
happens.
State and Cleveland and all that stuff. But you could also see how it might work in Dallas as well when you got two guys that need the ball in their hands in Kyrie and Luka, and a guy like Klay Thompson doesn't necessarily need to have the ball in his hands all the time. So you could see how it could work in Dallas as well.
It certainly could. And you mentioned a great point about, Kyrie being ball dominant, not as much as ball dominant as Luka, but again, having those weapons around, and think about it, it creates the spacing, right? Because you have to acknowledge Luka and you have to acknowledge Kyrie. You have Klay Thompson. They can say his shooting is not what it was, but you don't want him out there shooting Sunday jump shots wide open all game. He still has that. It's like riding a bike.
Yeah.
He never forgets it. For me, that's why I just say, like, the bottom line is with LeBron still playing at a high level, AD, you put a Dalton Connect, who's a new player there they drafted. You also put Klay Thompson there. So you could talk about, again, remember Ray Allen. Remember Mike Miller? Like, those guys just sat behind the line and made critical shots. And they don't call foul for LeBron anymore. So the bottom line is his passing may be his best asset. And this may, again, bring Klay Thompson's career back where he's actually more valuable, because I think with Golden State he had to do a little bit more, Bill. And I think that because they were depending on him as that big three, he's not the same player. He needs to go somewhere where he's not dependent upon enough. And they have enough superstars. Again, Steph Curry's great. Draymond, to me, is not really a superstar.
No.
Who else do they have? Kaminga and all those guys. It's not enough. You got LeBron, AD. You put Klay with them. Now you got something. You got, again, the guys in Philly. You put Klay with those guys. Now you have something, the same thing in Dallas.
Yeah, because, Bill, when you think about all the guys they tried in L.A., like, we could sit here and have the laundry list, right? Like Dwight Howard, Rajon Rondo, Russell Westbrook. Like, you bring in these stars, and I know I'm missing a few more, but, like, you bring in all these stars and it didn't work. Why would Klay Thompson work? And maybe the only thing I'm thinking here is the fact that if LeBron says, hey, I'm going to take a pay cut so that Klay can still get his, maybe that's when Klay goes, all right, LeBron, I appreciate you. I'm going to make it work.
I think that's the primary point. LeBron James has never taken a pay cut in his career, and we all change our minds, but he had said years ago to anyone that would listen, and it was everybody, he would never take a pay cut. He wanted full value. So it is a big step for him, and my understanding is that he will take a pay cut if he is getting someone at that mid-level exception, again, just under $13 million when the cap came out about an hour or so ago from the NBA, who's also taken a pay cut. So the answer to your question, Hakeem, is you're right. It's going to be a level of player who's probably worth more than that $13 million, who's also making a sacrifice. Now, I am not particularly bullish on the Lakers next year. You add Klay Thompson, it helps. But right now, I don't think that looks like even a guaranteed playoff team. But if you want to put purple and gold tinted glasses on, Gabe Vincent's going to be healthy, and they just re-up Max Christie, who's not a superstar, but entering his third year. That's when guys make jumps. It was important to retain him just for cap reasons. And LeBron James is obviously still playing at a high level, and his son's going to be there. So maybe there's a level of motivation in that. But I'm with you. I mean, if you're Klay, you really have to calculate what it is that you want. If it's strictly a ring, you're not going to L.A. But if there's other factors, like you like the West Coast and your dad is there and there's history and it's a good rivalry with the Warriors, maybe you can convince yourself, well, L.A. is not at the level of the Mavs, who just made a finals, and Philly, who's in a much easier conference in the Eastern Conference. Maybe you can convince yourself with your rival in L.A. and the sacrifice LeBron is making and some of those other little pieces I mentioned that the Lakers can be good enough that you can swallow your pride and go.